Hello, everyone. Welcome to another indie author interview. I am here today with Jessica S. Taylor, who is the author of The Siren's Mutiny, Captain's Revenge, Hollowed, and what's your newest book called, Jessica?
The newest one is Beyond Those Gilded Walls, and that
And it
comes out
comes
in
out in
October.
October?
The
Okay.
15th.
Oh, awesome, awesome. So thank you so much for taking time to chat with me today. I'm super excited.
I'm super excited too. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So let's just jump right into it. Tell me a little bit about your publishing journey and when you decided that you wanted to become an author.
The second part is kind of, and I'm sure you hear this a lot, is like there was never really a time when I wasn't writing something. So I think I'd written probably 3 or 4 full-length novels before I ever even considered publishing anything. It was just for fun for me. And then I moved out to Washington. So I'm from Kentucky originally, but my husband's in the Coast Guard and we moved out to Washington during COVID. And so I didn't really have any friends yet, didn't really know anybody. So I got hooked on Bookstagram. And then I made a lot of friends with other authors and other readers and got to kind of watch some of my really close friends go on their publishing journey. And that's kind of what was like, oh, okay, maybe I can do this too. And then as far as just general publishing journey stuff is I was always going to self-publish. There's a lot of indie authors I think that will try traditional publishing at some point in their career, and that was never something that I even wanted to consider. I have a control problems, just this ton. And you don't have a lot of control with traditional publishing, so I always knew I was going to self-publish and indie publish, so.
And I mean, I think that you make a really good point, and I think that that's kind of how I went about things is I kind of made friends and things like that, like in the Bookstagram and Book Talk community, and
Mhm.
now I'm writing my first,
Oh,
but
yay!
what's great is that you have all the support and like
Yeah.
everybody has literally been like an angel. Like they've just been so helpful. Like, oh, like do you need like a alpha reader? Like, do you need like, you know, um, you know, how to like websites to format on? Like there's so much cool like information out there that people are willing to share. So I think that that's like awesome, like with the indie author community for sure.
It really is. It's a very close knit thing once you kind of get into it. And it is hard to get into it because you have to put yourself out there. And most of us by nature don't like doing that. That's why we are writers, I think. So
Mm-hmm.
that's the hard part is just getting in there. But once you do, it's very welcoming. And I've never had really any experiences where I've felt that I was unwelcome.
Mm.
Um, and never any experiences where people will gatekeep. I hate that word, but will
Yeah,
gatekeep
it's true.
resources because like everyone just wants to help each other because we're not competition for each other.
Hmm.
Have you seen some of these readers and how much they read? Trust me, we're not competition. They're going to read yours, they're going to read mine, they're going to read 25 other people's this month.
That's so true.
And so that's kind of why I have a blog on my website where I kind of keep a lot of author resources that I've stumbled upon for the same reason is I couldn't find these things or it was difficult to piece it together when I was doing stuff. So I'm like, I'm just gonna put it there for someone else who needs it. And that's kind of the community feel, especially in like if you get into your niche on Bookstagram, especially, you get that vibe and it everyone wants to help you no matter what. So I love that.
That's awesome. My ADHD is just like loving your sweatshirt right now. So is that from
Oh,
one of
thank
your
you.
books or
Yes, this is from Hollowed.
yes? I was like,
So
that
this is
sounds
not on my website right now, because I'm redoing all of my designs for this fall. But I do have Hollowed merch, Sirens merch, all that stuff over on my website for sale too. So,
oh,
but yeah,
that's
I always get the samples first. So,
I love that. It's very cute. Which I know that, I have Sirens Mutiny, like that was like the first, I read the duology first, but I loved Hollow. Like I love Sleepy Hollow. Like, I mean, I live in Connecticut, so I
that's
don't live that far
fun.
from Sleepy Hollow, and I've always wanted to go, like for
I
Halloween.
have too. My husband and I were supposed to take a trip while I was writing the book to go spend time there, but it just kind of fell through. Other scheduling stuff happened, so we didn't get to go. But I'm a few hours from it. I'm in Maine right now.
Yeah,
So I was like, we can just make a weekend trip of it. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. And then we just couldn't make it work. So I really want to go at some point too.
definitely, definitely. And so how do you write your books? You said that you had like 3 or 4 like full-length
Oh,
novels, which full-length novels, like, are we talking like 50,000 words plus? Like,
I usually tend towards 80, 90,000
okay.
when I write. In case anyone has not had the privilege of looking at my Instagram, I'm really long-winded and I don't know how to shut up.
And
So
your
I usually
graphic
tend towards
work
80 to 90.
your graphics work is stunning, by the way.
Oh,
Like,
thank
your
you.
aesthetic is like chef's kiss, like, it's beautiful.
I made things really difficult on myself when I started with an aesthetic and
Mhm.
then like couldn't break out of it. It took me so long because when I first started my Instagram, I was doing a pattern. So it was a graphic, a picture, a graphic, a picture. And it was killing me because it was so stressful trying to plan content in advance. And like when there's stuff that happens like one off, like I forgot entirely about the Barnes and Noble sale. So I was like, oh, I'm gonna make a picture for this. So I was trying to get myself out of the pattern, and that was so hard. But I got out of the pattern, but I couldn't get out of the aesthetic stuff. So, which I don't mind. I really like it. So it's fun for me to do something else creative instead of just writing. Um, and I also, I don't know, Sav's Creative Cure or Sam's Creative Cure. Sorry, I was thinking two different people. Sav reads books on Instagram, has helped me with some of my flat lays and graphics to start with. And then Sam's Creative Cure has a membership that she does where she'll make graphic templates for you to use. Um, Best money I've ever spent. So I will plug Sam.
Flat lays, and then one and for Sav, and then for Sam, like graphics that you just plug in your stuff.
Yeah, so it's Canva templates. So her
Oh,
membership is
cool.
it's a monthly membership and she just puts Canva templates out there and she does stock images too that you can pull from and
Cool.
is wonderful money because it saves me time from thinking of how I want to lay things out.
Exactly. Exactly. So, you wrote 3 to 4 full-length novels before you kind of started even thinking about
Mhm.
publishing. So how do you write? Do you plan? Do you not? What do you do?
So when I was first starting writing, I was very much just a pantser and would just go with the flow kind of thing. And then probably towards Sirens, I kind of solidified my process and I start with character development work, like interviewing my characters, basically getting full character profiles, and then do some basic world building, rough plotting stuff. And then by that point, usually the characters and the story will tell me, okay, I need a much more detailed and structured plot plan, or okay, you can wing it now. You know you know who you're dealing with and where they're at, and you can just go. So I would say for Sirens, it was much more wing it kind of thing, but Hollowed was pretty structured. The most structured one I've done so far has been Beyond Those Gilded Walls, which is coming out. I plotted and had a really detailed outline for this one because there were a lot of elements that I wanted to make sure that I included in the certain places. So Beyond Those Gilded Walls is a mashup of like 15 to 17 different Edgar Allan Poe poems and tales and stories. So I wanted to make sure I was pulling in the right Easter eggs at the right points. And so it needed a lot more planning ahead of time to make that work. But typically I'll just start with some in-depth character work and world building to kind of ground myself and then go from there.
That's cool. Cool. And what do you enjoy most about writing in fantasy? And I mean, there's romance, so would you
Yeah.
call it fantasy, or would it be fantasy romance?
Mine, so I hear the difference, the definitions different
Yep.
from anyone you talk to. Everyone has their own definition. So
Yes.
I
That's
always
why
call
I
my stuff
ask.
dark fantasy with romance, which is wordy, but I don't want people to think that I write dark romance
Mm-hmm.
because it's not. It's the fantasy that's the dark part. And there's also other various definitions of dark fantasy. Mine is there's horror elements involved and mature themes and stuff like that. So I always say dark fantasy with romance. That seems to cause the least amount of confusion. And I would say the fantasy part, the thing that I enjoy most is just the creativity of being able to pull inspiration from the real world or from other aspects like mythology. I do a lot of mythology and folklore inspirations. And then just twisting it, making it my own and something new. that's always the most fun part for me, is figuring out how I can make it new
Mm.
and still recognizable.
Mm. And what do you need in your writing space to stay focused and writing these 80 to 90,000 word books?
Oh, I have the attention span of a gnat.
Me.
So music helps, some kind of sound. I don't do well in silence, and snacks help, which is horrible because I'll just I could literally eat one of those giant cartons of goldfish while I'm writing and not even notice. Um, but for the most part, it's that. I can't have my husband in the room with me when I'm writing because he makes the most obnoxious noises when he's playing video games.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, so beyond that, I don't really have anything specific. When I was writing Beyond Those Gilded Walls, I got really into having a specific candle lit that kind of just set the mood. So I
Yeah.
might try that again going forward because it was really fun. It was like, okay, the candle's lit, that means it's time to write. And it was just like a
Candle.
mental thing.
Scent.
Oh, so it was a candle from Novel Candle Co., and it's one that she did a long time ago. It has nothing to do with Poe at all or anything like that. It's Book Siren.
I literally was just looking for more candles, bookish candles, because I
Novel Candle Co. I love
okay,
Ashley to
okay,
death.
cool.
She's the
Because
best and she
obviously
makes the most
behind
wonderful
here,
things.
I have my little warmer because I do like lighting it, but I keep it on all the time because I just
Mm,
when I want.
yeah,
And so this one is from a local, and then my friend bought me a I don't even know how to say it. I say bash yath or something. I don't know how to say it
that
from
works.
but I have one of those, and then I have one from Lake George. There's this place called the Book Cabin, which it's honestly my favorite bookstore in the entire
Oh,
world.
sounds
Like
cute.
it's so cute. I have some pictures on my Instagram. But they had a book cabin candle, and it's like pine and woods. So what does
Mm.
that one smell like?
So this one is sea salt and coral. And
Yep.
so it just kind of smells like fresh. But I have probably every candle that Ashley has ever released.
I
And she
actually love
actually
that.
made me so I worked with her for Candles for Me. And this was from Siren Genie PR box when I was doing arcs. But she also made me, I don't have them in here, but she made me candles with my different character art on them too.
That's so
So
cool.
they have glitter on the tops. This was when she was still doing the colored glitter. She just does the white glitter now, but
And I
so and
love the
I'm never gonna burn this one
mm.
because it smells like pink starbursts.
Oh my God, that smells so good. Oh,
I
I'm
don't know
so
what
happy to
candle she
taste that.
made that had that scent, and I was like, oh my God, this is perfect. I want like 50 of them.
Mm.
But it smells like pink starburst. It's technically ocean breeze, amber, and driftwood. Somehow that comes together to smell like pink candy.
There is this at Lush, so I used to love Lush. I don't really go there anymore because it's too expensive, but there's like a butter or something that they have
Mhm.
a solid one, and if you like think about Moe's tortilla chips and then go smell it, it smells like Moe's tortilla chips. Now I can't get that on my head, so it's funny like how
I
you
love it.
but so you have a candle, you have music. I am so sorry. I have ADHD, so this
I
is
do too. You're totally fine. We'll
um
get through it eventually.
so what else do you need in your writing space?
That's really
No
it. So,
husband.
yeah, that's no husband. And that's pretty much it. I draft in Scrivener. Um, and I use they have a focus mode. So I
Yeah.
use that so that I'm not tempted to like click away on things. So yeah, so music, candle, no husband, snacks. That's pretty much all. I can work anywhere else from there if I got those.
And so other than, the no husband thing, what's your kryptonite? What gets in your way with writing?
With writing, I would say I get too in my head,
Hmm.
and I'm very much one of those people who, and I've been doing better about it, who will go back and edit things before I can move forward. And in some cases it needs it, in some cases it doesn't. I definitely get in my own head too much and get in my own way. As far as like kryptonite for the entire writing process, I am horrible with line editing because it's so like little details. And again, I have the attention span of a gnat, and it just takes me forever to get through something that I'm trying to review because I lose track of what I'm doing, and I'll just start reading, and I'm like, oh, I'm supposed to be looking for errors. I'm just reading, and then I have to go start again.
Uh,
So,
well, I can relate to that. I can relate to that. So let's talk about Beyond These Gilded Walls, okay? Because I think that we just need to get everybody literally hyped for this. I haven't read it yet, so I have the arc, but I haven't started it yet. Because I structure, so I request way too many, and I need to stop doing that. But like I'll read them the month before. So like now,
mhm.
like I'm on October arc, so I will get to it within the next couple of weeks.
Well,
Because
no rush. I was sending them, so I normally send them out like 2 to 3 weeks in advance, but this time I was trying something different.
I appreciate it getting sent out earlier because then I have the option,
Yes.
you know?
That's why I was in my ARC email. I actually sent out round 2 this morning. So everyone, there's another 100 people who are getting an ARC today. Um, so I was actually, usually I'm cutting it close with sending out ARCs. So that's why I usually do 2 to 3 weeks. But this one I had finished ahead of time because it was just vibing very well. So it was good. So I was like, I'll send it out in batches so it'll be easier for me to like manage things. So that's what we're doing this time. And then the last batch will go out a month ahead. So the
Okay.
last batch will go out on the 15th. So still gives everyone plenty of time, but it
Oh,
gives
yeah.
me a little bit more structure and space. So I'm not managing. I ended up getting 300 applications, and the application is still open. It is open through the 12th, I think. I don't have my calendar, but the
Yeah.
12th, I think. And then the last batch goes out on the 15th, but it was just easier for me to manage in batches this time. Um, but I'm very excited, and I like doing arcs. I sign up for too many as well, even as an author now. I like reading my friends' stuff and supporting them that way too. So
Um, so if you had to describe Beyond These Gilded Walls in one sentence or less, what would that sentence be?
So first, this is the one question that I'm so very glad you sent to me in advance because I'm horrible at stuff like this. I had to
Yes.
think about this for like an hour.
Yeah.
So this again, this caveat. This is assuming you know the masterpiece that is the 2004 movie Van Helsing with Hugh Jackman and Kate Beckinsale.
I think I've seen it.
It's wonderful, wonderfully cheesy. If you haven't, it's fantastic. But it's Poe mashup meets Van Helsing without the vampires.
I like it.
That's gonna tell you the best that I can give you. That's what it is.
Love it. Um, and so who was your favorite character to write from this new book? And
From
this is
this
a
new
standalone?
one, yeah, this is a standalone. This new one, I would say the female main character, Odessa, she was really challenging to write because this isn't going to sound like I'm insane. And I think a lot of authors do this is like, she wasn't talking to me.
Hmm.
Like she's very emotionally reserved, but she's still very emotional at the same time. So it was hard to kind of get her to tell me what she wanted to do at some points. And it was really challenging because she's so we're similar, and I always end up putting myself into characters even if I don't realize it, at least some parts, but Odessa is probably the most different from me. So she was a little bit more challenging to write, and that was really fun. It kind of put me out of my comfort zone a little, and I just really enjoyed it. But yeah, I would say she was my favorite character to write because she was being a brat. She was being really difficult. And I was like, all right, we're gonna fix this. And then just the accomplishment of knowing that I wrote her well too. So
And so it's kind of they're a little bit woven together. So let's say from Siren's Mutiny, who was the most challenging character to write?
oh, the most challenging for Siren's Mutiny was Calum. He had too much to say. I was like, you need to stick to the point, bro.
Yeah. Yeah.
Isn't he pretty?
He is so pretty.
He's so pretty.
And I love this author, and I am like definitely going to plan on asking this author to do art for me because I love the style.
Yes,
Um,
she's so sweet too.
what's the author? The artist?
Artist, I think I always get her handle wrong, but her name's Ksenia. I think her handle is Romana Bach.
Okay,
I
cool.
can never get her handle right. So, Ksenia, if you're watching this, please don't hate me. But I know who you are. She also has a Patreon too, where she does other
And then
art.
who did this art?
Oh, that one's not mine. I think that's Claire Sager's book.
Yours?
No, those aren't my babies.
I am actually the worst.
No, you're not. That's totally fine. Those look like Claire Sager's, maybe. Or LJ Andrews. Can I see it again?
LJ, I do have because I haven't ordered anything
Trying to
from
remember who has the which one of them has the bandana.
yeah, like I literally thought like I had these together because I thought they were all the same. So now I'm there because
We'll
now
take it. It's the vibes. It's fine.
I mean, there's a redhead and there's a captain,
Oh my goodness. I cannot tell you how many times I get people to
and,
see that art of
and
Bridget.
then they're on a boat. So
I know it fit.
and that's the only thing is that I need names
I
of
have started doing that. So I have stickers.
yeah.
Misha
Oh,
Tully
I have that
actually
on
had a really good idea,
the
and
captain
she
one.
has like a whole backside that has like QR codes to her website, all of her book covers. So I did that on my new bookmarks that I just got.
Yes.
Unfortunately, I have to get through all the art prints that I still have before I
Yes.
can get to them. So I got these little address label stickers.
Is like soft matte. So
Mhm.
like that's also something that I love. That's why I display these because I think they're probably the most beautiful ones um that I have. And do these go together? Do they go next to each other?
They kind of do.
Kind of.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so the background's not exactly right, but the bar lines up.
Yes. Which is so cool. I love these. Um okay. So I get distracted again. What is your favorite quote or scene from your new book?
Oh, that's been hard because I've been going through and pulling quotes and stuff to do for marketing stuff. So I have like this spreadsheet that I keep of everything. So
All right.
I can't, it's really hard to pick right now, but I would say, one of my favorite quotes is when our male main character is kind of like getting to know Odessa, and he says, um, nothing can break you, especially not me. And I was like, yes. And I felt like super awesome after I wrote that. And I was like, that is perfect.
Hmm.
Um, because it fits both of them really well. Um, and that's kind of like one of the bigger turning points of the book, where she starts to kind of trust him a little bit more. So I would say, yeah, that one's fun. And then I also actually, Beyond Those Gilded Walls. So if you've read my other stuff, you know that it's not very spicy. If and Hollowed isn't spicy at all. This is spicy. This is like 2 to 3 chili peppers. This is the first time I've written spice. So that was a little bit challenging for me. Um, because like none of my other characters it didn't fit, and it fit them in this one. And so I would say those were really fun to write too.
The spicy scenes.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just gonna move your book right here since I totally am blocking it because that's not cool. Which I got
That's
this
fine.
like the coolest. No,
I
I'm
love seeing that cover. It's still one of my it's I still I think it's my favorite cover of mine so far. Sirens cover.
it's stunning. And then I mean I have Captain's Revenge too, but
That one's good too. I love all my covers, but
and
I think
then the
my
chapter headers are so cool.
aren't they gorgeous?
Like and
So
then
Lena Amarego, she designed those for me.
cool. I know who that is. I've read about
Yeah, so she did the 2 chapter header designs for me for those.
that's cool. And see another perk of indie authors being so helpful and
Yeah.
helping you. Here we
And another one, so the maps in Sirens and Captains, Abigail Hare did those, and she also has a Sirens book out. I'll just plug her. Um, but the gorgeous map, she doesn't do maps anymore, I'm pretty sure, but she designed the map for Sirens.
cool. Very cool.
And she hand drew all of it. It was a hand illustration, so it was awesome.
I get mad at people who can write and who can draw because it's
I
just
know. I have zero visual
yeah,
artistic talent.
it's very unfair. Um so let's see. Then obviously now we know that these are the characters because Taylor cleared that up. So obviously these are the drawings and the renderings, but anybody that reminds you of them in real life, whether it be actors, actresses, models?
Absolutely. So this is one of the biggest things that I do during character building is I'll pick a model. So I don't have someone for Bridget. I don't because she came fully formed already, so I could never find someone who I thought fit her. Calum is Tom Hardy and Zach McGowan mixed together. So Zach McGowan is from Black Sails and
Mm-hmm.
Tom Hardy mixed together. Um, and then for Hollowed, the actress from Salem, the TV show, is Katrina, and then Janet Montgomery, and then Alexander is Alex Pettifer.
I
And
like.
then for Beyond Those Gilded Walls, Odessa is the model Segovia Emil, and I'm probably not saying her last name right. And then our male main character is kind of a mashup of Ben Barnes and Sebastian Stan.
That's the most perfect combination
Isn't
ever.
it?
I
Isn't
love
it?
both of them. Oh my
So
Lord.
I actually just have some character art that I posted the other day, and everyone was like, "Oh, he looks like Ben Barnes from the side," and I was like, "That's intentional. He's supposed to."
And I like that you say that like before I read the book because now I can go in and I can imagine that while I read it.
Yes. But that's always the first thing that I'll do when I'm kind of building my characters is because I'm a visual person. So I always build a Pinterest board and a playlist and we'll start figuring out who they look like, who is the best kind of fit for what I'm seeing in my head because it helps me even it helps with art commissions too, by the
Mhm.
way, to know who you want to reference. And that's always one of the first things that I do is pick an actor or a model or somebody that I think would be the best fit visually.
Awesome. Awesome. So let's move on to the last part of the interview, which is just
Yeah.
some questions. Um, so give me 1 second. All right. So moving on to the last part of the interview, let's talk about just fun things, fun questions and things that I'd want to know. So other than reading and writing, what are some things that you enjoy doing in your free time?
Oh, well, first, I don't have any free time. I work a full-time job still, in the legal field. So it is,
Wow.
yeah, so I work probably 50, 60 hours a week on my day job. And then so in the evenings and on the weekends, I do my book stuff. I haven't actually had time to read for pleasure in a long time. Um, but when I do have free time, my husband and I like going to concerts. We also do board games a lot. We're both very homebody people. We don't like other people. We don't like interacting with other people. So we just kind of hang out. And our recent board game that we've kind of been obsessed with is he has this Marvel Legends game. It's like a deck building game.
Hmm.
I'm horrible at high pressure situations in games and like I'll shut down and like I just can't do it. This one's actually not bad because I can take as long as I want. So, but we've
Cool.
been doing board games lately.
That sounds fun. And I'm
Mhm.
totally relate to the homebody piece.
Yeah.
Um, and so I have my Goodreads up here. So who
All
are some
right.
authors of books you'd recommend?
So I know I've already recommended Lena adjacently. Lena writes pirates and fantasy too, so she's fantastic. Um, I'm kind of thinking like more from a hollowed Beyond Those Gilded Walls vibe. Nicole Fiorina is wonderful, wonderful human. Amber V. Nicole, the Book of Azrael,
Mm-hmm.
wonderful. And then just more from like a general my
What was
style
the
of
second one?
Amber V. Nicole.
Uh, the one before that.
Oh, Nicole Fiorina. She did Hollow Heathens.
And I've read Book of Azrael. So that's good.
Amber's wonderful. She's so
Mhm.
sweet.
All right, what else you got for me?
And then Alira Anaya Serres has a fantasy series. And the first book is A Dance with Fire. And she's just a phenomenal human being. She also writes Why Choose and paranormal and monster romance too. And then she has a contemporary pen name too, which is Jade Hernandez. But my favorite series of hers is her Fae Elemental series. It's the best way to describe it is not like it's Fae, but it's diverse Fae. Like all of her characters are very diverse. She's half Mexican. And she's very intentional about everything that she's doing. So I'm half deaf, and one of her characters in her contemporary books is hard of hearing and has a son who's deaf. And so she just her asking all the questions to me about how do you work with your hearing aid and all that stuff. She puts that level of care just into everything. So she's phenomenal to read. Nisha Tully is also wonderful. Jenny Hickman, and then Vanessa Rassanen. I don't know how to pronounce her last name. I always get it wrong. She's told 50 million times, and I always pick the wrong one. If you like pirates, Vanessa has a pirate series, and it's wonderful. I literally could sit here all day and give you recommendations, so I'll stop now.
I love that. Well, if I need more, I can always ask you.
Well, if you want, so this is the biggest question that I get about Hollowed is it spicy? And the answer is no. And then I always say, if you want spicy Sleepy Hollow, Karina Holly has a duology, and then CM Nacosta has spicy Sleepy Hollow as well.
CM.
Oh, how do you spell her last name? Nascosta. It's also called Hollow.
Got it. Oh, wait, is she the one who wrote The Milking Farm?
She's wonderful too. But those are my two spicy Sleepy Hollow recs whenever people ask. And I'm like, I'm not spicy, or mine isn't. But if that's what you're looking for, here's these.
I love that.
Rebecca F. Kenny also has a spicy Sleepy Hollow, but I can never remember the title of it. It always kills me.
I definitely read it too, because I love Rebecca F. Kenny. Like let me look.
The Horseman of Sleepy Hollow. That's what hers is.
Yes.
So yeah, so those, if you're looking for spicy Sleepy Hollow, mine is not the vibes for spicy. It's the vibes for Sleepy Hollow. But if you're looking for a spicy one, those are the ones that I recommend.
Oh, awesome.
And then I'll slide one last rec in. Alexis Menard, House of Pain and Blood. That's my girl. She's wonderful. Her books are wonderful. Everything about her is wonderful. I would say Beyond Those Gilded Walls kind of has the same vibes and setup and just the same feelings as House of Bane and Blood. I've gotten that from my beta readers a couple times. They're like, this feels like what I felt like when I was reading Alexis. Like the balance of different things, I think is how they were describing it. So yeah, I don't want to keep us here for like the next hour giving recommendations. So
well, those are some great ones. And so if you had to give advice to a younger you or an aspiring author, what would that advice be?
Don't let perfectionism stop you from writing the book. Because I know some people, it is a hard stop. Like if you can't figure something out and if it's not perfect, you can't move forward. And that's valid. That's a valid personality type kind of thing. But I think that a lot of us just, like I said, get in our own way, including me. And I think I took entirely too long to publish for the first time because I wanted everything about it to be perfect. And it's never going to happen. And accepting that is part of figuring it out. And I would also say, don't read your reviews. Have someone else read them for you to gather actual constructive feedback. But especially when you're starting out, that is the fastest way to ramp up the imposter syndrome and knock you down to the ground. And you don't need to do it because no one's ever you're never gonna write a book that everyone loves, ever. And I think it's just really important to set that boundary in advance, even if you think, and even if you are eventually able to look at your reviews objectively, when you're first starting out, there's just entirely too much chance for it to knock you back to the start when you need building the momentum to go forward.
Definitely good advice. Good advice. And so you said that you can't do silence. You listen to music. Do you listen to music with words, without words?
Yes. Both mostly, typically with words. But for the playlist for Beyond Those Gilded Walls had a lot more instrumental music than I normally vibe with. Right now, Barnes Courtney is number one with a bullet on all of my playlists for all of my books. But there's a mix of everything kind of across my playlist. And you can find me in my playlist on Spotify if you just search author Jessica S. Taylor. They're linked somewhere on my website, but I can't remember where. I think they're on the individual book pages. But I have my playlists for each book also in the front of the books. So you can see like that they're not the complete playlists. There usually is a link to the playlist, especially in the ebooks. But I pull out the biggest impact songs. And I
Mhm.
would say like they have words, but it's more of the vibes of the song, not necessarily the message of the song that I'm kind of, because when I'm writing, I'm not really listening to the words. It's just the vibes.
Mm.
But yeah, Barnes Courtney right now is number one. Sleep Token has been coming up recently in my recommendations, and I like them. Um, I'm also a big fan of Nox Arcana, and they do instrumental, but it's very creepy instrumental, so that's why I've kind of vibed with them for this playlist for the new book. I have a lot of their stuff on this one.
Cool, cool. And is there any place, I mean, obviously we know Hollow was inspired by Sleepy Hollow, but is there anywhere that inspired the world in Beyond These Gilded Walls, or Siren's Mutiny that you've been or
So Siren's Mutiny is inspired by Scotland. I have never been though. It all came secondhand from my friends who live in Scotland. Um, but it was always like all the mythology that I pulled for sirens was Celtic and primarily Scottish versus just like the general Celtic area. So that was pretty inspired by Scotland. I haven't been yet, but I would love to one day. Um, and yeah, Sleepy Hollow is the other one. I wouldn't say there's any specific locations that inspired Beyond Those Gilded Walls, but I will say like the big Gothic cathedrals across Eastern Europe is kind of where I pulled a lot of inspiration for the visuals and like the descriptions of the kingdom from. But I wouldn't say like beyond that there's a location that inspired that one.
cool, cool. And my final question here, any events that you're going to be having soon that we can look forward to meeting you at?
Yes, so I will actually next month in October, I'll be in Kentucky, in my hometown for Authors in the Bluegrass. So I get to go home. So we're going home for a whole week before the event. But I'll be there signing. It's October 12th, and I think they still have general admission tickets open and for sale right now. But yeah, I'll be there. And then next June, I'll be back at Imaginarium in Washington, D.C. I love the ladies that host IBF, and so that'll next year will be my third year going. It'll be I believe their 5th anniversary next year, but they put on a phenomenal show. So those are the two that I've got upcoming right now. So yeah, October 12th, I'll be in Lexington, Kentucky, in my hometown. You'll see all my family there as well. So excited for that one. It'll be good to go home for this one.
Absolutely. Awesome. Awesome. So thank you so much,
Thank
Jessica,
you for having
for
me.
time to meet with me today. And I cannot wait to dive into Beyond These Gilded Walls. It's going to be so good.
I hope you enjoy it. There's also some art in the ebooks too.
Ooh, awesome. I love that.
Or there
Uh,
should be. If they aren't showing up, that's BookFunnel's fault. But I put them there. But the formatting sometimes gets messed up. So
yes, that's true. That's true. Well, thank you so much, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.
yeah, you as well. Thank you for having me.